Well, at the moment, I see we've got the luxury. We've picked 35. We theoretically could pick 45 players, under the participation agreement to take with us. So again, I said there's a bit of depth in that position at the moment, and some good competition. And given that there is some versatility with Gavin as well, being able to play one or two other positions, I said, with the players that we've got, the players that did pretty well for us in the World Cup. Obviously, there's at times when we need perhaps to be a little bit more inventive in the midfield, and we recognise that. So we just want to see where Gavin is when he does come into the squad. I mean, I think the disappointing thing from my point of view is that players, we've stressed that if you are going to leave Wales, try and have in your contract that full release, and unfortunately one or two players haven't done that, haven't supposedly had a verbal assurance that was going to happen. And so in the IRB Regulation 9 we're allowed them for the first 3 days of next week, and then they'll go back to their clubs. It means it's a little bit difficult with a bit of travel for the players, but again, there's some experienced players playing in France, and one or two of them have been playing regularly, have been playing in positions that we're considering them as well. So it's something that's, I think, for the future for us, it's going to be challenging. We will realise economically what tough times we're in, and ideally we want to keep our players playing here in Wales if that's at all possible. We've in the past looked at some young players, and I think with Harry, perhaps a couple of years ago you might have questioned the validity or using the sevens as a pathway, but the amount of time that they've been together, the emphasis and resources that's been put into the sevens, and Harry obviously having done well and come off the bench for the Blues and made an impact. We know that he's a talent, and we just want to have a look at him again in the squad. Like I said, there's a couple of players that have come through the sevens in the last couple of seasons. Cuthbert's come through, Lloyd Williams has come through as well. So it's a definite pathway for some players, considering that how well that sevens team's done in recent tournaments, and they've shown a significant improvement, and the resources that the union's also put into them. And the thing with Ashley is that he's playing week in and week out. And last season, he had a couple of games and he'd be on the bench, not picked for one or two. And sometimes it's difficult to pick players that aren't playing regularly. And he's forced his way on form, and the fact that he starts week in and week out for the Ospreys has made a significant difference for him being selected in the squad. We've come away from New Zealand, I think as a team, having earned a huge amount of respect from the New Zealand public, and in terms of the way that we played and performed out there. We've got to be excited looking forward in the Six Nations campaign, but also through to 2015. And so it's important that we come together and we build and recognise the successes that we had in New Zealand, but also the things that we can work on to improve in our game as well. The Six Nations is a tournament about momentum. Our first game against Ireland's hugely important. It's away from home. You win that, and you get on a bit of a roll, and you become difficult to beat. I think it's very exciting that there's no real clear favourite going into the Six Nations, and any one of 4 or 5 teams are capable of winning it, and I think it's great for the game.